Well, okay, second stop here on my second Poland tour. I'm at Saint Vincent Winery, close to Zielona Góra with Wiktoria Rypson. Thanks for having me here.
Welcome.
And yeah, well, I mean, last time we met in Warsaw.
Yes.
At the Polski Ferment Trade Fair.
Exactly.
So very happy to see you here finally at your estate and see what you are doing. I'm looking forward to some good discussions about organic winemaking in Poland, about passion about Pinot Noir and Vitis vinifera. But before we dive into that, let's start with the questions that we ask anybody else. So first question for you. If you wouldn't be a winemaker today, what would be your alternative path in life?
Probably a therapist or the psychotherapist. Probably alcohol addict. Yeah, that's my favorite field. Yeah.
So you would work with people with alcohol addiction, or you would be a therapist with an alcohol addiction?
Yeah, exactly. Both.
Both.
I would say both.
Okay.
Them. Yeah, I graduated psychology at the uni, so that was my first plan for life.
And we will hear about your second plan for life, how you turned into a winemaker, hopefully a little bit later. Or you want to tell us now? So why
maybe a little later.
A little later,
let's
okay.
wait, yeah.
Then let's stick to the questions first and foremost. Okay. So the alternative path in life would be a psychologist and a therapist.
Yeah.
So, but now you are a winemaker today at Saint Vincent Winery. And if you look back at your development as a winemaker so far, which is not that long, right? I mean, how long are you making wine now? 5-6 years?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, and if you have a look back, is there like some person, some experience that you can recall where you really said this influenced my perspective on winemaking, my style of winemaking?
Hard to tell because since I was a kid, I was like bonded with the nature, and I feel like very close to plants and the grapes as well, of course. And I think just happened like it was maybe some kind of fate or I don't know. It was my passion at first, and hard to tell who has the biggest influence for me. Probably Michał, my friend. We made some courses 10 years ago, and probably it's all because of him. Like he infected me with the wine passion. Probably.
And now I have to be a little bit concrete. Michał, who?
Michał Popiołek. It's actually because of him I'm working there. He asked me to take care about the vineyard and the cellar, so whole production here. So Michał Popiołek, our sommelier and a friend of mine.
And just to avoid confusion, because we have many Michałs coming from different wineries to Copenhagen.
Michał Popiołek, Saint Vincent. Yes.
Beautiful. Third question for you, the mean one. You and your personality as a bottle of wine. Grape variety, wine style, what comes to your mind?
I can't find any specific. Maybe I'll describe myself as maybe some bubbles, maybe pet nut or traditional method, and maybe probably the white one, but maybe short skin contact. So still not so behave wine, I would say. More messy, more chaotic, but still elegant one.
And I asked the same thing to Kamil Bacentewicz because it was quite obvious. You are not a PV, right?
Yeah, of course. Never.
Vitis vinifera.
Only.
Okay. I look much forward also like to dive into that later, because this is maybe one of my biggest learnings so far, meeting and talking to Polish winemakers, that actually there's a big trend in Poland. We always think about it as like this cool climate PV country, but actually you really are going very strongly in the Vitis vinifera direction. So interesting to hear more about that. Final question for the introduction. You already said you feel very well connected to nature. If you should summarize some thoughts, some ideas you have about how nature makes you feel as a winemaker, what does it mean for you and your winemaking?
I think it's the first and most important things for me. To have as good grapes as I can have, as I can grow by myself, of course. and everything starts on the field, the vineyard. So yeah, I pay a lot of attention over there. And then a slow intervention at the cellar as I can have.
Can you introduce quite briefly the Winnica Saint Vincent to us?
Yeah, so our story started in 2009 with the first plants. I think it was around 4 or 5 hectares. And then every year we went bigger, and now we are having 16 hectares. Organic farming. Sometimes I'm using biodynamic techniques as well, some preparation. Yeah, we focus much more on the vinifera, as you can see. We have 2 PVs, Ronda and Regent, my favorite. Of course, if I could, I would just replant them with Pinot Blanc probably, or maybe some Auxerrois. And a few years ago, we started our journey with organic farming. Yeah. So we are producing now only 1 red, so it's a Pinot Noir, 3 or 4 sparkling, like Champenois style, and then whites and orange.
So, and you poured something into the glass here for us, which is sparkling, clearly, because it has bubbles. Can you introduce the wine to us a tiny bit?
So we are having now Riesling Champenois method, 2 years on the lease, 100% Riesling, only still tank. Second fermentation was made, actually I don't remember even when. So in 2023, it's Brut, 5 grams of dosage per liter, so around 4 grams in the bottle. Quite high acid, because acid is life. And yeah, I think it needs a little more time with the yeast inside.
So, yeah, where to start? The questions that are coming up to my mind. First and foremost, Riesling. So, this is actually fairly traditional where we are, right?
Yeah,
because we are very close to a town called Zielona Góra, which is also your hometown, which the Germans call for Grünberg. And some people who know about wine now might have heard about this, right? Can you quickly introduce us to this area of Poland where we actually are and what wine tradition it has, and yeah, why Riesling?
Yeah, so Zielona Góra and nearly whole Lubuskie, we have, it's hard to say we, but we had some wine tradition for over 200 or 300 years. So there are still wines from 18th, 17th, 19th century. You can find them near to Zabór, so the small village next to Zielona Góra.
This maybe really to underline it, there are like old wines in the middle of the forest, right?
Exactly, so the post-German vineyards. So now we are starting to recultivate the old tradition. Because we still have some of them over there.
And Zielona Góra, or Grünberg as the Germans are calling it, was like a sparkling wine center for German winemakers.
So one of the biggest producer, Grempler Sekt, he has his own cellar. You can find them actually in Zielona Góra, like old original cellars from 17th century. I think this one is exactly from 17th century, maybe 18th. And yeah, he was producing like 200,000 liters of sparkling every year. So it was one of the biggest he was one of the biggest producers these days. And now someone else, Krzysztof Fedorowicz from Winnica, Miłosz, he has this brand.
Going to meet him actually tomorrow. He is the local legend about the history of Zielona Góra, right?
So
he knows everything.
He will tell you more, exactly.
Beautiful. Okay, thanks for that introduction. So it's not a surprise that we have a Riesling Sekt in the glass, or a Riesling sparkling, because it fits very much into the region. Maybe a little bit more about about you and your approach to winemaking. So, fairly young winemaker. What got you into it? Also, why did you start making wine?
So this place was looking for the new investors, and Michał Popiołek from Saint Vincent asked me to help him find a new one, and I did. But the new investors are not so into winemaking and farming at all. So they asked me if I can take care about this place as the COO and the winemaker. Because they know that I had some experience in that field, so harvest in New Zealand, Australia, Germany or France, Champagne exactly. So I've agreed, and I never even think in my life that I'll be winemaker, and it become biggest part of my life.
And then you basically took some courses and some education, and you went to internships around the world, as you just said, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you have, what I want to say, just coming from a guy called Michał, who is one of the, also like in the area, one of these like legends, right, in winemaking. So you have a very vibrant, also like group of young winemakers being connected, talking to each other, exchanging ideas.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm quite close with Michał, and Michał was learning me a few years ago, and I think we're quite close to our wine growing techniques on the field, but maybe not exactly the same in the cellar.
I would say there's a big difference between your wine style and Michał's wine style in the cellar. After having tasted his wines today and learned about his philosophy. Organic from day one, or in the vineyards?
Organic from my day one.
From your day one.
Yeah, I think it was my first rule to change everything for organic farming, because I think it's the way of my living and being, so close to my heart, and that's why.
And you have 14 hectares today?
16.
16. And do you see any difficulties when it comes to organic farming? I mean, we are in a fairly cool climate, fairly far north on the wine growing landscape. So if you should like maybe sum up the biggest challenges that you experience with being an organic winemaker in such a cool climate.
So the frost, of course, the last year was completely damaged. We lost around 90% of our yield with -8 in the end of April. But yeah, cool climate, what we can expect. So that's why we bought the grapes last year from Hungary and Austria. We have different labels, and we are just saying this wine, it's ain't Vincent, because it's Vincent, but not exactly Vincent. And other challenges here. So the mildew this year, I was very afraid and stressed, because it's the first half of the year was really dry, and now it's raining nearly every day for past 30 days. So yeah, but for now we just sprayed only for 4 times.
Okay.
It's not bad. So yeah, no mildew for now anywhere. So I'm very surprised and happy with this.
So if you look at the development of Polish wine in general, I mean, you're yourself like fairly young winemaker, many of your colleagues in the wine scene are fairly young. How is Polish wine developing at the moment? Within Poland, and then also like maybe abroad.
Yeah, I can see it's developing quite fast, and I'm happy with that, because I see that many producers start to be more brave, and they have new ideas. They're not afraid how market and how the customers can react. And abroad, yeah, Poland's not so exotic country for the winemaking for now, as I can see that. So we start selling our wines to Berlin, to Sweden, Copenhagen.
Maybe to Copenhagen.
Yeah, it's already the first samples. I've sent them yesterday. So yeah, and the Benelux as well. So I think it's growing. Yeah, especially with the bubbles, the pet nuts, and the champagne. Let's say champagne, the sparkling wine.
The sparkling wines. Yeah, also like what I heard from other winemakers that also like in Poland, I think Beata from Dom Janton also like summed it up very nicely. She's also coming to Copenhagen again. Like 15 years ago, people in Poland were drinking sparkling for New Year's Eve and for like maybe a birthday or something.
Yeah.
But now it's getting more common that Polish consumers also take sparkling, right? And what about the natural wine scene? Also, would you? You also told me that you are eligible now for Raisin, actually, or they contacted you for having the winery in the Raisin Natural Wine Guide?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So would you consider yourself a natural winemaker, or is it like, because this is fairly let's say conventional in style what we have in the glass right now?
Yeah, but still, like I'm using artificial yeast for the second fermentation, but since few years, every fermentation we do with white yeast, so our yeast. Yeah, only what we're doing in the cellar is controlling temperature and racking the wine, and that's it. We don't use any finings or filtration. Yeah, so natural wine, it's like big word for me, because what is exactly natural wine like, and which if some wine are not natural, so what kind of wine is that?
I think we should go for some red wine.
Okay, so the Pinot.
I know from our conversations like earlier that you really are a sucker for Pinot, right?
Not a sucker, come on. Maybe a huge fan, I would say.
Good, okay.
Let's be diplomatic.
But okay? I remember from my own like sommelier education, I had a very good teacher back then, one of the Danish top sommeliers at the time. She was, for 20 years, she was in charge at Kong Hans, which is a 2-star Michelin restaurant. And she like put it down like, you know, we all have this journey in life as sommeliers or as wine lovers, but in the end of the day, we all end in Burgundy.
Yeah, exactly.
We just have to accept this kind of destiny. So
it is how it is. What can I say? Yes, I think my fascination with wine started with the Burgundy Pinot, and this variety. It's so great. You can do nearly everything with it, like the rosé, the white, blanc de noir, or just good red, more full body, medium body, or more like Burgundy style. So I'm just in love with this flexibility.
So, and those Pinot grapes have been, the wines have been planted here before you started,
yes.
I guess? Okay, and then, walk us through the process. I mean, what are you doing with this Pinot in the vineyard and then in the cellar afterwards?
So what we are doing, so of course, this one from 2021 and 2009, we have Guyot as a training system, and 2024 will be something different. I will see, because they're planted quite near, 50 centimeters in a row. So we're just taking care with love. As much as we can manage, of course. So we harvest the Pinot Noir around October, I will say. Then quite short skin contact, 3-4 weeks sometimes. That depends on the vintage. So fermentation only in still, and then 1 year, at least 1 year in the barrels. Some of them are barriques, but most of them are 500 barrels. Only French oak, sometimes Hungarian oak. That depends again on the vintage. Yeah, and how we do.
Let's go to it. I mean, I had a bit of a nose already. What I find always interesting about, I mean, clearly it's a terroir grape, we all know that, but also like when we look at the soil, for example, you work with a fairly sandy soil here,
exactly.
right? It's the same like every bit south. I was just at Nestor from Winnica Moderna, around Wrocław. It's all like very sandy and clay and loam and loess in that regard, right? And for me, it's always striking when you have a different, for example, like to Dobre, where Kamiba Centevich is located. Another of the exhibitors, he has like this typical limestone, the Pinot from Burgundy, right? And the wine just got juicier somehow. I mean, it's more like this kind of dense, maybe a little bit like humid perspective in the nose, right? Very much on the fruity, cherry intensity side to me. Then I think what is interesting on the palate, of course, I mean, this is an acidity bomb, right? Still, I mean, here we really clearly feel it's a cool climate that you are working here with. And I mean, 15th of October, you said, is the harvest?
Yeah, it's around. Yeah.
I mean, that's fairly late, right, from an international standards perspective. So acidity, tannin structure is fairly soft, actually, not overpowering. You really try to be like shy on the oak. Yeah,
exactly.
In general.
Just the gentle touch of the oak.
Gentle touch of the oak. And how is that perceived in Poland, the style of Pinot Noir? Are people opening up for Pinot Noir from Poland?
Yes, obviously, yes. It's growing. Like, I think 3 or 4 years ago, people were looking for some like oaky Pinot Noir, more full body. So I would say they were looking for the Polish Pinot, but from New York. You know what I mean? Like, but now it's changing. Like, people start to understand that we are working with a live organism on the vineyard, so the plants, and you cannot force them to do anything or to change or to deliver some other kind of grapes. And I think all of us, even the producers, we need some time, the customers as well, to understand how to play how to play in the cellar, as our, we'll say, playground, with the grapes we are having, and for the customers to understand what kind of wine they can expect. From Polish vineyards.
I think that is a very beautiful bridge to our final question. I mean, we are looking forward to have Saint Vincent also like in Copenhagen in January, and present those wines here together with like many other quality Polish winemakers. Many of them your friends, actually, right? Because you really can say that the quality winemakers in Poland have a strong community.
Yeah.
I like that a lot, actually. The more you dive into it, the more you realize how closely connected you all are. So not so much competition, more like a joint force of making, presenting Polish wine in the world. I like this. But so if you look ahead 5 years from now, what do you think, like, where are you? Where do you see yourself? Where do you see the style of the winery? What changes will come?
Hard to say. Hard to tell. Really. Probably the quality. I'd like to have a much more better quality every year. Probably some new, crazy, challenging ideas for the wine. I'll stay with the organic farming, of course, but yeah, we'll see. I have no clue, to be honest, and I'm not a fan of predicting. Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of funny how, like, when you ask this question to like German winemakers, often like long generation family estates, the answers are like more precise and more like typical German strategized, right? And with the Polish winemakers, I ask, like, many of them like you, fairly young, or maybe second generation winemakers, or it's all like a little bit more, let's see. Let's take it as it comes. I think it's a very beautiful beautiful approach to it. Victoria, thank you so much for your time and showing me around here today. Looking forward to see you in January in Copenhagen, and cheers on Polish Pinot Noir.